Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial. Mathias here, and today we're going to learn how to do some MIDI bass magic. So essentially, if you've been struggling with MIDI bass and you think it sounds way too fake, you can't get it to sound right in your mixes, and you're scratching your head, you're like, what the fuck, how do I get this to sound more authentic? Then this is probably the right place for you. So basically this is going to be a two-part series. So in this first part we're going to cover the programming, so it's not going to be very advanced. So if you already feel confident in your programming skills and all of that, then you can move along to the second video when it's released. I don't think I will release both videos at the same time, so the second one is probably going to come out 2 or 3 days later than this one. So yeah, if I release this on Monday, then Wednesday is when the second one will come up. Okay, and that one is where we cover the mixing and tone for the bass and all of that stuff. So first off, in this one, I just want to demonstrate the result that we're gonna go for. So this is what it sounds like. It's just the bass and the drums, so you can get a feel for the bass. I will solo it as well a little bit. Okay. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. And for this song, I wanted a very tight bass. So I did some editing. As you can see, I cut out some parts here in between to make sure there's no excess noise in between the sections. So yeah, if you want a completely natural bass sound, then let me know in the comments and I will make another video on how to do that. But it doesn't fit this song too well, so this is what I'm gonna aim for with this little series. And it sounds a lot more real than the MIDI bass would do just straight out of the plugin. So in this video we're going to be using ABZ Half Moon, or Half Moon ABZ 5 bass, which is my favorite bass VST library. You can only use it in Contact, unfortunately, but I think there's a free version of Contact, so that shouldn't be a problem. Otherwise, use the one that you've got at your disposal. But here you can check out their website. It's only $30, so it's very cheap for a bass VST that sounds this good, and it's got a very wide range, so you can get down pretty low with this bass, which is really nice. Otherwise, I'd recommend Zombase 4, which is completely free. It's also for Contact, but it's free and it's great. It's got a lot of different articulations and you can do slides and stuff very easily with it. So I'd highly recommend Zombase 4 if you don't want to spend a little money. Okay, so let's get to the programming bit. Not try to make this video super long for you. So when I program bass, I like to imagine. So first I like to think, okay, so this part, the bass follows the drums rhythmically and the guitars. And the guitars have different notes, of course, that they play. But this part right here is fairly easy. So I like to have the guitars maybe a bit lower in volume, but I like to have them there while I program, so I can easily hear that it fits that I put out the right notes. And sometimes if you write bass in a very low octave, it can be hard sometimes to hear if the note is correct or not. Sometimes it might sound right, and then when you play it back, you're like, something's off with the guitars, but you can't figure it out. Then I would suggest just writing in one or two octaves up, like this, or even higher. And then you can just, when you're done writing out the part, you can just highlight everything and then just pull it down to the octave it's supposed to be in. And that's just a little trick that I like to use sometimes when it's hard to hear. But alright, let's try to program a little bit of this part or section. just so I can show you my little process here. Okay, so as you can see here, I also like to keep track here, so I can see the distance between the notes, which makes it a lot easier for me to figure out how long the notes are supposed to be. So here I can tell that it's supposed to be 16th notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of those. So I just duplicated them. And here the guitar plays a little bend on the 12th fret, so I'll just do a little 12th fret note here. And as you can see up here, it's supposed to stretch just that far. And here it does a chug again, I think. Yeah. You can copy that. So I just follow this like that. And here you can see in the guitars there's a little space in between. It's like a short pause. So I might want to recreate that on the bass as well. So then I can just pull it back like this. And you'll see it aligns perfectly. But as you can see here as well, so this is a good trick for keeping the authenticity of the bass. As you can see here, the guitar actually transitions down and ends a little bit after the actual beat that I ended it on. And the bass now, if I export the bass like this, the waveform is going to end right here. And that can make it sound very fake, that it just ends right where you put it. Because usually it's very hard to instantaneously mute a note when you play a string instrument. It's very hard, especially with distortion and stuff. So what I like to do is take a 30-second note and just go to the bass note that ends right here. And then I just pull it out 1 30-second note. And in this case, I could even probably do a 64th. And you'll see that it lines up pretty good with where the guitar ends. So now the bass is gonna end more naturally as well. So it's not gonna end just abruptly. And that can be very handy to do. I like to do that for breakdowns and stuff so it doesn't sound too robotic, which is a pretty cool thing. Just a little trick for you. And here it changes. Note. So yeah, that's, I mean, you don't have to watch me program this entire part because it's gonna be exactly the same throughout the entire part. And just listening to the guitar, listening to the rhythm pattern of the drums, and of course it's always good to know what the bass part is supposed to sound like, so you don't just guess. So yeah. But that's pretty much how I program bass. It's very simple. And then when I'm done, well, my voice is very hoarse today, so excuse me for the voice cracks and all of that stuff. But yeah, when you're done programming it, just highlight the entire song or the bass section that you wrote, and then export it. And you can just export it as a WAV file. I like to keep it at 48 kilohertz and sample rate and 24-bit just to make sure, because the library you're using might be using 16-bit or something, but that doesn't matter. As long as you keep it at 24-bit and 48 kilohertz, you won't be doing any degradation of the quality or any compression to the file. So you'll keep it at the same quality it's supposed to be. And I like to export it into the project again, so I get a WAV file like this of how the bass is supposed to look. Because I think it's, or my English right there was terrible. But yeah, so I get a waveform of the bass instead of having to use MIDI. I think it's easier when you're supposed to mix something to have it in a wave form. And now this one is in a stereo waveform, as you can see, which is very annoying. When I have one signal, like a bass, I prefer to export it as mono, so I just get one of those. I don't know why I did this. I was probably stressed. But I will finish this section, export the bass part in mono, and then in the next part we're going to cover how to make it sound like the example here. So yeah, I hope you're excited for that, and I'll see you in the next part, and thank you for watching. Hope you learned something at least. I know this might be very basic and dull to some people, but for some beginners or even some people that doesn't do this very often, this might have been very helpful, I hope. Let me know in the comments if you wanted to know something more, if there was something I didn't really touch on that you wished I would. If there's something that was confusing about the way I did this for you, just give me any feedback that you wish that I improve on, because feedback is key. So yeah, also click the link in the description for, well, there are links in the description for the bass libraries, both Half Moon ABZ 5 and also to the Some Bass 4, which is the free one. And at the top of the description, there's a link to my FX sample pack that you can use to create bass drops and cool stuff like that. Stuff like this. Yeah, I got a bunch of those kind of things in there. All for free. You just type in your email address and you download it through your inbox, and there you go. Okay. Take care. Thank you for watching. See you in the next part. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.